Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. It's me again, Angela from She Rises Studios. And today I am here with Renee Vee, one of our amazing experts and content creators in the SRS Academy. Renee, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Angela. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you too. So, Renee, can you tell our audience a little bit about what they can expect from you in the SRS Academy?
Sure. So I am a speech therapist by trade. So I have, really honed in my skills with communication. And, a couple years ago, I made a decision to, go into personal development and really kind of spread my wings a little bit outside of like public school world and, how I'm impacting our youth. So I ended up, really diving into personal development and was completely inspired by what I was learning as a early 40-year-old woman that I had never heard in all the schooling that I had gone through in my whole entire life. And these concepts are life skills that are not taught in traditional academic public schools, private schools. It's really learning about who we are and the components of what makes a human successful and happy. So for me, it became a mission to really develop programs that were loosely based on what I was learning, but make them bite-sized and make them really kid-friendly and also parent-friendly. So I have something really for everybody. But so in the SRS Academy, I have my Mind Shift Mastery program, which is a 6-lesson program that targets, basically it's the starter program in my my company, which is, really talking about like basics from the beginning of like what's growth mindset, versus fixed mindset, and what would benefit us to do if we are, if our mindset is really closed. And a lot of times that comes from, our upbringing, and it's not programming that we necessarily, it wasn't our programming where we inherit other people's programs. So for me, it was really important to, start by starting and really talking about just what is mindset. It's a buzzword, but I always say it's buzzworthy because it really is the nucleus to everything else around us. Our relationships, our occupation, our happiness is all based on what our mindset is. So that's lesson 1. And then lesson 2 is about self-love, that we are all flawsome and that we need to love ourselves. And it's really the basis of, again, everything that we do is, how we love ourselves is how others will love us and how we can pour out to others. And it's super important and really, really missing with our youth right now. And also for people that are of my age group, we were taught that loving yourself is selfish or doing things for yourself is selfish. And it's just not true. So, self-love is something that we embody as long as what we're doing is not harming anybody else. That's what real self-love is. So the importance of, our worth, which, I can't stop talking about how our youth is struggling with this, that they don't feel worthy. They don't feel confident. They don't have the skills. They don't have the education in personal development in order to be the fullest expression of themselves. Right. Mm-hmm. So then lesson 3 is about your thoughts, which affect your actions, your feelings, and your results, and how shifting our mindset with what kind of thoughts we're allowing to permeate our brains and our subconscious, it really affects everything. So again, it goes back to these are like the basics of the basics of education of, in personal development and, becoming the ultimate expression of ourselves. It has to start with these skills. Mm-hmm. Lesson 4 is called spice goals because, setting goals is something that makes your life spicy and exciting. And we can make, really cool life choices based on goals we decide to set and put our mind to. And then lesson 5 is confidence castle. So, building up those skills and confidence in all areas, mm-hmm. and tricks and tips and strategies and, for parents even to help their kids with their confidence, because it seems to be another situation that's happening in our society that we're not targeting. So, and then lesson 6 is brave beginnings, the art of the safe adventure. And that's really about fear and how fear can prevent us from, really going after our goals or going after, something that's outside of our little bubble of comfort. That we really want our kids to understand that we were put on this planet to create, to grow, to consistently grow. And what direction that takes you in is your choice. It's not someone else's choice. So that is my program. And it is so fun for me to talk about it because it has changed my life. I embody and practice everything that I talk about and educate about with my own family. And, it's just really exciting to be here with you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it is so needed right now. And one of the best things that we as women and mothers can do is learn these things, and then really our kids learn by what we do, not by what we say. So when we start to
Exactly.
embody someone that loves themselves and has that confidence and compassion, and there's all that balance, they learn that, right? Because we're not just
Yeah.
saying, well, love yourself, and then turning around going, oh, I don't love myself at all. We get to really be that role model that they so desperately need. And, it can transform the entire world, because all it takes is one generation for that change to be
Mm-hmm.
viewed and learned, and then we've got real change happening. So I am so excited for
Yes.
our members to get to learn all that you have to share.
Yes. And really pour into yourself. Like as a mom, you're always pouring out to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, but there's a reason why they say to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we are good to nobody if we are not good to ourselves first.
Yeah.
And our children are watching. Like you said, I always say that's one of my little hashtags. Like our children follow our actions, not our advice.
Mm-hmm.
So if we aren't, modeling these behaviors or modeling, pouring into yourself, they are not going to do it because that's not how they've been raised or what they're seeing in their home. And we are the most, influential people in their lives, especially when they're younger. And honestly, up until we're old, and, our parents are always going to be an influence to us, whether it's good, bad, and different. To be able to have role models that our kids can look at and say, wow, they're telling me to follow my dreams, because I'm watching them follow their dreams and their aspirations, instead of saying, follow your dreams, but you're not doing it yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense to them. So
Yeah.
it's actually showing, embodying all of these skills. And I have 2 other programs too that I'm developing right now that, really go a lot deeper into this, even the power of our subconscious, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how we learn everything. That's how we learned how to talk. That's how we learned how to walk. That's how we learned how to eat. All of those things were through spaced repetition. So where our kids are learning at school is spaced repetition, right? But a lot of that is, memorize, regurgitate, memorize, regurgitate on a
Mm-hmm.
test. And then what happens is if they're not doing well on their test, and they embody that as I'm a C student, I'm a C student, I'm a C student. And then that perpetuates into, their adulthood. Like, oh, well, I'm just a C student,
Yeah.
and also, if we decide to give our kids education, life school that I call it, outside of the traditional academia, then what they're going to be doing is the same thing they're in essence doing in the school, but they're
Mm-hmm.
learning how to, actively, kind of screen the thoughts that are going through their mind and what thoughts they're allowing to stay in there, and through spaced repetition, go into as a program into our subconscious. So there's a lot of science behind this. It's not just frou woo woo. It is very scientifically based, and it's also stems from 100 years of the pioneers of personal development. Napoleon Hill,
Mm-hmm.
Bob Proctor are my idols. They are the
Yeah.
ones who introduced me to all of this. And if you've heard of the Think and Grow Rich book, which I'm hoping everyone has, a lot of the concepts that I'm developing programs for are loosely based on the concepts that Napoleon Hill wrote about in that book.
Amazing.
So it is just, it's needed. It's game changing. It's life changing to learn these concepts. And, we can go to school till we're blue in the face. But if we don't know who we are and what we love and what we want to do, that school's not going to do anything for us. We need to really learn about ourselves, like self-school, life school, and be able to, you know, kind of get a shift, hopefully, in what our kids are learning, because they don't know who they are. The statistics speak very, very well to this, how they're alarming. How many children are struggling with anxiety, struggling with depression, you know, taking their own lives. Why? Because they don't know who they are or what they want, and they're confused. And we're putting Band-Aids on it by putting them on medication or doing, you know, other types of interventions that clearly aren't working because the statistics keep going up. So, you know, it's time to really look at what the core root of these issues are. And, you know, I suffer from anxiety. I'm not saying I, you know, it is what it is, right? So, but how are we intervening? How are we learning about how our brain works and how our thoughts work? Because if you have bad thoughts in your mind all day long, you're going to be depressed.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it is our choice and our capability and our right to control the thoughts that go through our mind and what we accept, right? I love when Les Brown says, you know, someone's opinion of you does not need to become your reality. And that hit me like a Mack truck when he said that, because it's true. Because a lot of times what our kids are doing, which obviously as adults we're doing it as well, is comparing to others and comparing to others. And if one person says something nasty to us about ourselves, we internalize it and we're like, oh yeah, I'm not cute, or I don't fit in, or I'm not a good student. And when we embody that type of thought process, it goes in. I mean, we have 60 to 75,000 thoughts per day. 90% of them are repetitive. 80% of them are negative. So what we're doing is just letting these thoughts ruminate into our mind. They're becoming programs. They're becoming a part of who we are. So if we can proactively help our kids, you know, purposefully put in their brain and their mind thoughts of optimism, goal setting strategies, even emotional intelligence strategies, because that's another issue that is happening, is that our kids don't know how to process their emotions. So what's happening? They're catastrophizing things that, you know, because they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools for their toolbox. So it's our job, right, Angela? It's our job to be the change and to be, you know, to help with the paradigm shift of what our kids are learning. And if we can't be that monster that does that, you know, that moves that mountain, well, then we need to supply supplemental education that is helpful, things that aren't taught in our schools.
Oh, that's so amazing and so true. So Renee, thank you so much for not only sharing this, but for being a part of the She Rises Studios Academy. For those of you who are just hearing this for the first time, She Rises Studios Academy goes live on April the 16th, 2024. You are going to get to learn from amazing experts like Renee and so many more. So be sure to stay tuned and stay informed.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
Bye.